In the 1920s, China was controlled by the Nationalist Party, while the Chinese Communist Party had limited support from the Chinese population. Rebellions and battles between the two parties broke out during the period. In the 1930s, Japan began to expand its empire politically and militarily into parts of China. In order to protect China against these foreign forces, the Communist Party and Nationalist Party ended years of internal fighting in 1936 to temporarily unite in a truce and alliance as the Second United Front. The Second United Front resisted Japanese forces in the Sino-Japanese War that followed.
That's my move!小文，醒醒啊！来人呀！
你是哪门？国民党。年龄
？19岁。
好，你先歇着，我去给你拿药。
为什么加入共产党做护士？
我家钱不多，但是共产党会分给我们一块自留地，让我们能养活自己。虽然要种公共地交公粮，但是政府会分给我们一些粮食，过得比以前好多了。
小红，有件事情我想跟你说。
怎么了？你的腿还好吗？
不是，没事。但是，我喜欢你。
其实我也很喜欢你。
On August 14, 1945, the Japanese surrendered after the Soviet invasion of Japanese-controlled Manchuria and the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, ending both World War II in the Pacific and the Sino-Japanese War.
面鬼子投降了！
没有共产党就没有新中国，没有共产党就没有新中国。
小红，这样给我吧。
是保卫民族，共产党也是救中国，他指引人民进步的道路，他引导中国走向光明。他坚持反战反联国，他开始人民生活，他坚持以后人决定，他其实民主化祖国。没有共产党。
After the Sino-Japanese War, the Communist and Nationalist parties ended their temporary alliance and resumed fighting in the Civil War. As the Kuomintang advocated for modernization, the Communist Party promised and delivered better conditions for peasants. The Communist Party's People's Liberation Army also demonstrated courage while fighting against the Japanese invaders with guerrilla tactics, which earned them popular support from the peasants.
国民党的，跟我走！
The Chinese Civil War unfolded in the larger context of the Cold War. While the Soviet Union supported the Communist Party, President Truman and the US backed the nationalist government, offering aid and funding to the KMT. However, they never fully intervened in the war. In 1948, 3 years after the start of the Chinese Civil War, the CCP launched the Huaihai Campaign, where the People's Liberation Army, or the Communist Army, surrounded and destroyed 550,000 national troops in Xuzhou.
不知道小兰现在怎么样了？读读报纸吧。淮海战争，共13.4万人死亡。糟了，小兰现在好像就在徐州啊！老天爷，请保佑她呀！
The decisive Huaihai campaign greatly turned the tides of the war, causing the Kuomintang to suffer disastrous losses, including thousands of casualties and a loss of faith from supporters and US President Truman.
蒋介石带着国民党跑到台湾岛去了。
啊，战争终于结束了。
怎么办？父亲是国民党的官，希望我肯定的随他去台湾。
When the Communist Party took over China, the tides of the Cold War were shifted. Western powers, including the US, saw the creation of the People's Republic of China as a loss of a largely populated nation to communism. This played a major factor in the US's intervention in various hotspots of the Cold War, including Korea and Vietnam.
Prior to the resumption of the Chinese Civil War in 1946, mainland China was governed by a single emperor under an imperial bureaucracy of officials educated and tested on Confucian teachings.
However, following the Civil War, China's population became divided between the Communist and Nationalist parties, losing its unified identity. The effects of this split can be seen socially, politically, economically, culturally, and demographically. A social impact of the Kuomintang's flight to Taiwan was social turmoil. The repressive rule over the native Taiwanese caused dissatisfaction to arise, spurring social protests. One specific protest of the native Taiwanese was the 228 incident of 1947, where the Kuomintang exemplified their widespread oppression, murder, and imprisonment of political opponents that threatened their one-party rule, and a massacre of approximately 20,000 Taiwanese people. Protesters demanded having local Taiwanese in government office, providing basic freedoms like freedom of speech, press, organization, and guaranteeing the rights of Aboriginals.
Chiang Kai-shek and the Kuomintang's migration to Taiwan caused the spread of ethnic Chinese people and cultures on the island. However, it also displaced many native Taiwanese Aborigines and fused their culture with Confucius ideas.
In an attempt to raise literacy rates, the People's Republic of China replaced traditional Chinese with a new simplified Chinese, a modern character set that includes structural simplification and a reduction of total Chinese characters. Simplified Chinese is now the official script of mainland China. However, Taiwan continues to maintain the use of traditional Chinese.
After the Kuomintang retreated to the island, backed by American aid, Taiwan was launched on a path of economic modernization. At the same time, Mao Zedong launched the 1958 to 1961 Great Leap Forward, a campaign featuring the collectivization of agricultural and industrial output. A famine followed, killing 45 million people, and the economy only improved later under Deng Xiaoping's reformations.
Politically, Chiang Kai-shek's escape towards Taiwan led to the creation of a new nationalist government in Taiwan and a new communist government in mainland China. Although functioning under different political ideologies, both rulers utilized similar fear tactics to eliminate their political opponents. In Taiwan, Chiang's martial law banned the formation of any new political parties, gave the military wide censorship powers, and convicted thousands of civilians of sedition and other crimes. In China, Mao's Cultural Revolution eliminated scholars, teachers, and communist officials that were deemed as a threat to Mao's communism. The impacts of this political divide are still seen today with continued debates on whether Taiwan stands as a country independent from China.